Statues and pictures. Some people make others upset with their teaching in regard to statues and pictures. They try to convince others that pictures and statues are strictly prohibited by God. In order to support the teaching, they wrongly quote the text from the book of Exodus. You shall not make for yourself an idol, whether in the form of anything that is in heaven above, or that is on earth beneath, or in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them and worship them. Exodus chapter 20, verse 4 up to 5. You can read a similar text in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 16-18, or from the book of Isaiah, chapter 42, verse 8. The Bible speaks about the prohibition of idols in Pidgin, All God Gyaman. But there is no prohibition on making statues or pictures and carrying them in procession. Bible shows us that we are allowed to make pictures. We are allowed to carry them in the procession. For example, in the book of Exodus, God told Moses to make statues of 2 angels, cherubim. You shall make 2 cherubim of gold. You shall make them of hammered work. Exodus chapter 25, verse 18. In the book of Numbers, God asked Moses to make an image of a serpent. And the Lord said to Moses, make a poisonous serpent and set it on a pole. Book of Numbers, chapter 21, verse 7 up to 9. King Solomon has made the altar of bronze and molten sea, which was placed on statues of 12 oxen. The Bible says, then he made a molten sea. It stood on 12 oxen, 3 facing north, 3 facing west, 3 facing south, 3 facing east. 2 Chronic chapter 4, verse 1 up to 4. The Ark of the Covenant with 2 statues of cherubim was carried in procession. 1 Chronic chapter 15, verse 25 up to 28. Joshua knelt down before the Ark of the Covenant. Joshua chapter 7, verse 6. In the inner sanctuary, Solomon made 2 cherubim of olive wood. 1 Kings chapter 6, 23, 28. St. Paul says in his letter to the Colossians, he, Jesus, is an image of the invisible God. Colossians chapter 1, verse 15. Pictures are being used in our daily life. Election posters printed by candidates are very useful for the ones who stand for the election. Pictures printed on money notes, Kina 20, Kina 50, are not forbidden. They are to help people in their daily lives. The same is with ID card or your driving license with your picture on them. On the other hand, there are some statues of false gods called idols, which are strictly forbidden by God. As Book of God says, Isaiah 42, verse 8, 45, verse 15 up to 16. Picture or statue becomes an idol only when two conditions are fulfilled. First of all, a statue itself has to be called God, as Bible says, Exodus chapter 32, verse 4b. And secondly, an offer, a sacrifice, is given to the statue of an idol. Psalm 106, verse 28, 36, 37, or 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 28, or Revelation 2:14. Even if somebody rejects any statues, any pictures, he still can be an idol worshipper. St. Paul says, the greediness is kind of an idol worship. The greediness. Colossians chapter 3, verse 5. If anybody places anything above the true God and follows something which is only a creature, such a person is in danger of being an idol worshipper.